Hello everybody, this is King Tut here, and welcome to your very first C++ tutorial. So C++ have been around for a couple decades. It's widely used by developers for their games, software. It's also used by engineers for embedded systems. I personally like C++, and it's the first code I picked up when I was teaching myself programming in high school. So in order to dive into C++, we first need what is called an IDE. An IDE here is a program, it's a kind of program that has two functionalities. First functionality is you could write your code. Instead of using a notepad, it has like a built-in notepad in it. Pretty cool. Second functionality, it compiles your code. Some IDEs don't have a built-in compiler. You have to have a compiler separate. You have to get a compiler separate. Um, but instead of writing down the commands compile your program, you have to it does it for you. It does the commands for you. And the third functionality is that it runs your program. Instead of doing a command to run your program or finding the directory, it completely runs your program. And it's really cool that there's a software that can do all these three things instead of doing doing three separate things um, at a time. So I've seen many tutorials that is on how to get Visual Studio and how to get um, code blocks. In this case, I'll show you how to do Eclipse. I won't recommend using the Eclipse itself, as there's functionalities that is not present, such as correcting your code, so on and so forth. It Eclipse C++ is not as good as Eclipse Java, but luckily there's an alternative that actually makes use of Eclipse, and it's called Cevelop. It sounds like a funny word. It doesn't come with a pre-built compiler, so we need to have a compiler separate from the IDE. So the compiler I'll be using here is MySys2. I really like it. You could download whatever external library in there, and I'll get into it in another video of what external library is. So open up your favorite browser and go to Google. Type in Cevelop, enter, and it should be the first link. Click on it, and then it should direct you to a beautiful website. And then click on Get It Now. And then whatever operating system you have, click on it. So if you have Windows, click on the button where Windows is at. If you have a MacBook, click on the one that has where it says OS X. And if you have a Linux on your computer, you could click on the ones where it says Linux. If you don't want to download on Mac, you can use the command using Homebrew. I don't know what it is. Honestly, I never use a Mac, but if you're a heavy Mac user, this might be useful. for Linux users, if you guys have Arch Linux, this would be useful, or Snapcraft, this also would be useful. But in my case, I have Windows. So click on Windows, and then it's a zip file. It's not an installer. And it's going to prompt you if you want to save or open the file. I click Save, and put it in your downloads file folder. And since I already downloaded it, I'm just might as well replace it again. But for you, in your guys' case, you're not gonna have that. You're not gonna have the zip file on your download folder. While it's downloading, let's get a compiler called mysys2. Click on mysys2 homepage, and then before I install it, this website has a really good tutorial, a very good tutorial. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, or you got lost or unsure, this tutorial will help you. But I will guide you as well. So click on, so there's two parts, two kinds of mysys2 installer. There's one that has a 64-bit and the one that has a 32-bit. So if you really want to make a software or games to be distributed to everyone, you might as well use a 32-bit. However, if you wanted to make both, you might as well install 32-bit and the 64-bit. But since this is just a tutorial, I'll use my own 64-bit since I have a 64-bit computer. And then I'll save. It's going to prompt me to save, so I'll save. And I'm going to save it to downloads. And as you see, I already have one. And I'm going to replace it anyway, because why not? And these ones should be downloading. It's going to take some time. See who make it to the finish line. Oh, it seems like mysys2 is making it to the finish line. I'm just going to commentate this. And mysys2 is having the lead. Oh, it's the finish line. Will it make it? Will it make it? mysys2. 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 uh, when you're trying to wait for dollars, you would do something something when you're bored. And mysys2 wins. Woo! Okay, so we already have mysys2, and while Cevelop is still downloading, let's click on it. Let's click on mysys2. And it's going to get you to the setup. You click next. You click next. Click next. And it's going to install. And if you're wondering how the installation process works, just show detail. Alright, it seems like Cevelop is almost done with the download, and it's coming in second place. Okay, that's enough with the joke. um, so while MySys is installing, uh, we're gonna look at Cevelop, see how it goes. It's almost done with the download. And we click on this. Develop is done, so we click on it. We click on the folder. We drag it to the desktop. I'm gonna drag it to the desktop because it's noticeable. All right, it's done. Honestly, I don't want to. Uh, I don't want to just run the video while it's actually installing and downloading and extracting. I and I don't want you guys to hear my annoying voice. So as soon as it's installing in MySys 2, you click next, and then you should get this window, this page, and then be sure to check Run MySys 2 64-bit now. So that way I show you how to actually uh, configure MySys 2 and install the compiler. The sad part about MySys 2, it doesn't actually have a compiler. Before you install the compiler, you would need to upgrade the database. So write down pacman -syu. Press enter. Wait, what did I do? Oh, you need to put a capital S. Should be, yeah, MySys is case sensitive. And it's gonna ask you if you want to proceed with the installation. And the capital Y means if you enter without putting anything, it's gonna be yes by default. So it doesn't matter if you put Y and enter, it's gonna be Y by default, even though you don't put Y. But if you put N, it's gonna be no, and you're not gonna give them permission to proceed installation, and you're gonna go back to the command, in the command. So let's enter, and it's gonna be installing, downloading and installing. What it does, it retrieves package, then it downloads and installs. Alright, it's gonna tell you close MySys. Usually with any command line, any terminal, usually after it's done with installation, it goes back to prompting you to put in the command. But for this case, it tells you to close your terminal instead of calling exit. So you close it and you click OK. Then you click start. Find MySys. And click on this one. and the one that doesn't say 32 or 64. That's what I'm trying to say. And we need to update the package. So pacman su. Hopefully I got this right. Okay, I got this right. So if you got this, that means you you typed in the correct command. If you don't, then you might as well check it, see if you didn't put the capital S on it, or you misspelled it. So as like the last one, I'm gonna press enter, and it's already retrieved. It's not downloading. So while this is downloading, um, I like to mention external libraries. And external libraries are libraries that are not built into C++. So, so, in, so if you want to make use of external libraries, you have to go to a website that makes that specific kind of external library that you're looking for. You'll have to download it and you have to link it. But with MySys2, however, you don't have to download or find the link. It's already, the package is already in MySys2. All you need to do is just find the command, um, and put into the command line and press enter, and then press enter again to proceed with the installation. It should actually um, retrieve the package, download, and install it. It's installing right now. Also, you have to watch out for the amount of space that's going to be taking over your computer. So, some some of the things that you you want to download on MySys2 might take a lot of storage. The compiler that I'm going to be using is called MingW. It's widely used among open source software. Um, I've used it when I was using CodePlux at first, before switching to Visual Studio, and that's I Visual Studio has a different compiler, and I really like MingW. I don't have any problems with it. Seems like it's processing package change right now. Okay, I'll stop the video and come back once once the update is done. Alright guys, we already updated MySys um, package, I mean, and I realized I forgot to put in my cursor. So in the uh, previous part of the video, you might not see my cursor. That's why it looks kind of weird because I didn't put in the cursor. All right, so after you updated your package, you need to put in a compiler. Like I said, sadly, MySys doesn't have a compiler. It doesn't have a built-in compiler. You have to install one. So I actually don't know the exact command. So you go to Firefox. If you really want to know which commands you want to use for MySys 2, you might as well Google. So, so you type in mingw MySys 2, and then the second link, I think. Oh no, 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 never mind. You just go to Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is very helpful in pretty much everything. So you highlight this, copy, then you go back to MySys, right click and click paste, then press enter. And then you press enter again, and it's going to install the tool chain and pretty much the compiler. And to make sure that works, we're going to use this command to see the version. So I'm going to pause the video and come back to you guys. Hello everybody. Now we got mingw compiler installed. So as you see here, I try to put gcc-v and it tells me command not found. I tried another way, gcc-version, it tells me command not found. And I realized, like, just opening MySys without the 6432-bit would give me problems. I actually lied about the whole, oh, it's not gonna be, you didn't install it right if you put gcc-v. So what you need to do here is go to where M is and look for MySys to 64-bit. Click on the 64-bit, and then put in GCC version, and it's going to show you what version it is. If you close out of that, you close out of this. We're not done yet. We're not out of the woods. We need to put this on path for an environment variable. So you go to Advanced System Settings in your search bar. Then you click on Environment Variable. Then you click on Path, click on Edit, then you click on New, you click on Browse, you go to where this PC is, you click on that to expand it. Then you click on this to expand it. And then you click on MySys64 and expand it. Bing W64. And click on bin. Click OK. Click OK. Then click OK. And then click OK. Now we can actually code in Eclipse. So open up the folder for Eclipse for Cevelop. Well, I don't know why I said Eclipse. It makes use of Eclipse. But it's just a program of its own. So you will click Cevelop exe, then the splash screen should pop up, and yep. And usually the first time you open Cevelop, it's gonna prompt you to set your directory as a workspace. So if you really like this directory, that's totally fine. I'm just gonna leave it like this for the tutorial. Usually what I do is organize it into programming file and then separate each one by its own programming language. And you have a option to use this default and don't get this window again, or just leave it blank. I'm just gonna leave it blank in case if I want to change my mind. So click launch. You're just gonna get splash screen again with the loading bar. And then you might as well maximize it. And then you're gonna have this welcome screen. Usually with every welcome screen, usually there's a check that says, please show this again. And I usually check it off. But I guess that's with Eclipse. This is different. So you want to create a C++ project. And the only toolchain I have is MingWGCC. That's the one we're going to use. And that's the one we installed. If there's two options. For the sake of tutorial, go with Hello World C++ object. And then make any project name. I'm just going to call it King. Click Next. And click Next. Click Next. And then Finish. You're going to make use of C++ 17. Soon, I'm not sure if they already released it yet. There's a new C++ version called C++ 20. And, alright, anyway, if you really don't want to see this again, just click Close. That way, it gives you more room and it looks cleaner. So, let's configure your project. Let's go to Properties. Go to Build. C/C build. You go to Settings. Go to Dialect. And it's already been there. But make sure the dialect flag is there. Go to Toolchain Editor. Make sure nothing is changed. So nothing is changed. It's still MingWGCC, CD, and we're just gonna leave that one. I don't know what it does. So Go to miscellaneous, make sure everything's all fine. Everything's all fine. Click apply, and it tells you changes will not be reflected until it's rebuilt. If you wish to rebuild it now, you just click yes. It's just prompting you, it's just asking you if you want it to build your program. Then you click apply and close, and you click on this hammer right there. That's what will compile your program. So click on this hammer icon, and it actually, if you want to know how the building, how the compilation is doing, you look at this here, and once it tells you it's finished, check to see if there's any error, or well, warnings doesn't really matter, but check to see if there's any error. If it gives you no errors, your program is good to go. Then click on run, play icon, and then it's going to get you to this. So double click C/C++ application. Then you go to environment, click add. Then you might as well go to the directory that has the bin. So go to this PC right here on the left. And you click on Windows. Then you click on MySys64. Then you go to MingW64. Then you go to bin. Then then click on this directory here where it lists all the directory. It's going to be all highlighted. If it's not, then try to highlight it. So Control C, or just copy. Then you go back to your Cevelop. You click on the value. Then you press V. And then it's going to ask you for the name of this environment variable. Gonna call it path, I guess. Then you click apply, then run. And there you go. It says hello world, just like it says right there. So I'm gonna go in depth in all of these lines in the next video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.